Hi, I'm Pam Lippett of the Hill Street Group, and I want to welcome you to my podcast, which is called The Communication is an Art. I'll probably fix that later, but you're getting the raw cut here. Communication is an art, and I truly believe that communication, like art, is something we have to practice, something we have to get better at, and something that becomes easier with time. And so I am pleased to introduce different people into this podcast to share different ways we communicate and different examples and different techniques so that you, the audience, get the best practices of the best people. And with that, today I am very excited to welcome Brenda Meller into our podcast. So I want to say hello. Brenda and I'm just as a little backstory so that, no one says, oh, you're bringing in a friend. Brenda is a friend. She truly is, because we met on with my doing work on LinkedIn and my wanting to do a better job. And that was, during the pandemic, on Zoom, on whatever. But we happen to live about 25, 30 minutes away. So now we co-work. So Brenda, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pam. Delighted to be here today and to be with you virtually. For a change. Sometimes we're online a lot. We meet in person, but now we're kind of virtual and on screen together.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be this phenomenal LinkedIn coach that everybody knows about.
Aw, you're so sweet. Well, I come from a corporate marketing background, and I always thought I was going to stay in corporate marketing my entire career. I had my eyes set on chief marketing officer, and the plan was in place until it wasn't. We had a leadership change at my last employer, led to a restructuring. And as I was looking for what was going to be my next marketing leadership opportunity, people started approaching me and saying, well, since you have some time, can you help me with my LinkedIn? And since you have some time, can you help us with social media? And since you have some time, can you help us with our marketing? And I wasn't marketing myself. I had a side hustle, Meller Marketing LLC, just for speaking gigs and things from time to time. But I decided to lean into it. That was at the end of 2017, going into 2018. And since then, I've been doing a variety of things, but really focusing in solely now on LinkedIn. So I work with the self-employed coaches, consultants, speakers, course creators, etc. I also work with employees of organizations, especially sales teams, training them on LinkedIn. I work with executives on profile optimization. And I do have a small subset of my offering that's dedicated to job seekers as well, whether those are people unemployed looking for a job using LinkedIn or working but looking, which is my area of specialty as well.
Those people who are quietly showing them the good in themselves.
Right.
So their boss may not know, but other people may. So, and especially in this world of referrals, when I talk to clients about their speaking, first of all, I usually say, hello, Brenda, but I always say that LinkedIn is now our version of checking up on you, right? It's like learning your history without having to ask you for a resume. It's your resume and your activity and how you present yourself throughout the world, because LinkedIn is such a worldwide platform. So I think actually it makes me think of something. Are there differences in how different countries, people in different countries approach LinkedIn?
Absolutely. And I think it depends on the culture and personal preferences. For example, in some other countries, I've noticed nobody smiles in their LinkedIn photos. And, here in the US, we expect a smiling photograph in there and not a serious look. So I think there's some things there that are taken into consideration. The great thing is LinkedIn is really a global platform. And when you sign up for an account, you choose your primary language that you like your profile shown in, but you can also create your profile in separate languages. So there's a way that we can definitely network with people from around the world. But yeah, there's little nuances. And even I think in China, LinkedIn's not even allowed. So LinkedIn as a platform technically doesn't exist there. But yeah, LinkedIn's taken into consideration its international audience.
It's funny that you say that in some countries people don't smile. I did a training with an exchange through the State Department of
Mhm.
young Russian entrepreneurs a few years ago. And one of the things that one of the guys said to me was, "Oh, people in this country smile at you. In our country, if someone smiles at you, they must be up to no good. They
Mm.
want something from you." And I was like, "Oh, well, you're going to New York, you're going to California after this. People will smile at you. Don't worry about it. It's just they like your hat, they like your coat, they something connects with you. Smile back. It's a good thing." So it's an
Mhm.
interesting way that has also transitioned into LinkedIn. I find that very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
and the flip side of that is we as LinkedIn members in the United States, and you now that I'm kind of saying this, you or your listeners might be aware of this as well. You'll get an invitation from someone that you don't know, and if they're not smiling in your photo, your first inclination is they're probably not in my targeted area. They're probably from a different region of the world or whatnot. So I think if you're trying to do business, and going back to communication as an art, if you're trying to do business, you have to know your target audience. You have to know what their expectations are. For us in the United States, we expect to see a smiling photo. If we don't, we're thinking, is this person like, you know, a criminal, or are they, doing something bad, or are they, is it a scam account, a fake account? We're jumping to the other conclusion, which
right.
is this is not somebody I should be connecting with. Danger, danger, and we're immediately ignoring it. So I think you just need to understand your audience and what their expectations are.
So, speaking of pictures and your profile,
Mhm.
let's dive a little more into LinkedIn and that I'm going to ask you two things and you can transition between them. The one is the no picture at all,
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
second is the invitation with no note, because I know that those are two of your hot buttons. So,
Yeah.
speak to how we communicate through those pieces of
Mhm.
LinkedIn to move us forward, because that's the goal at the end of the day, is to make new connections, move us forward, and create synergies.
Yeah, and if you wanna be more effective on LinkedIn, I think these are 2 strategies you have to do. One is having a good headshot photo, professional looking headshot photo that's visible, and the, ironic thing about this, Pam, is a lot of times when we don't see a photo attached to an account, it's usually a second or third level connection who's trying to invite you to connect, and they may not even be aware because there's privacy settings that you have set up, and they may have accidentally set up their photo to show to only first level connections. So if that's the case, it doesn't matter if you've uploaded a great looking headshot photo. If you're not connected with the person yet, they're going to see a great avatar in there. A smaller subset of LinkedIn users that don't have the photo visible, it's because they haven't uploaded a photo yet. And it might be, it's usually not a privacy concern. It's usually more comfort. I don't like taking pictures. I don't like pictures of myself, or I don't look like what I look like. Whatever the reason is, they're holding back from having a photo taken, and they don't have any photo on their account. Now, there's a statistic, and I wish I could find the stat, but LinkedIn says like if you have a headshot photo that's visible on your account, you'll get X percentage more invitations accepted. And again, it goes back to human nature. When we receive an invitation, if we don't know you, if we don't recognize the name and there's no photo, we jump to conclusions. Is this a fake account? Is this spam? Is this not a real person? And we're more likely to ignore it. The second part, that what you had asked about, was adding a personal note to invitations. So when you invite someone to connect, when you click on that connect button, LinkedIn will say, do you want to send now? And the button's like in blue. It looks like that's what they want you to do. Or do you want to add with a note? And up until about a year ago, you could add a note with every single invitation that you sent out on LinkedIn, whether you're paying for LinkedIn or not. Now, they recently instituted a policy where you have to be a paid member of LinkedIn to send unlimited notes with every
Oh,
invitation. Everyone else, if you're using the free basic version, you can only add a note with 5 invitations per month. So my advice is changing a little bit based on that. If you know the person, like Pam and I met at a networking event, and immediately after I sent her an invitation, I'm not going to include a note because she's really likely to remember who I am and accept it. But if it's a note that you're an invitation that you're sending to someone who's never met you, who doesn't know who you are, you have a better likelihood of them accepting if you add a note and you make it about things that you have in common, something that you're noticing from their profile, Not about you. It's not about selling. It's not about your messages or anything at this point. The goal is to get that invitation accepted. And you have a higher likelihood of them doing that if you make the invitation all about them or things that you have in common.
So if people are listening to the podcast, I wish that I could on the podcast underline what you just said. We can't really do that, but I wish we could, because to me that is just like the worst communicate. You would never in person walk up to someone and say, "Hi, how are you? Would you like to spend a fortune and use my services?"
Right.
And that message is that first hello, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. You have to make it count, or you're really throwing away that message if you have limited messages.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. And it's, I love the in-person analogy. And whenever I'm training my clients and we talk about, what they send in their invitation, and I get a lot of people that are trained by, I don't know which sales organization is telling people this, but you only get one chance to make a first impression. So you got to sell hard in the invitation. And I'll say to them, well, imagine if you and I just met, we're at a networking event, maybe we're at the coffee table, we're getting our coffee cups and whatnot, and you come up to me and you say, and I read this, what they have in their invitation, you say this to me, what do you think my reaction is going to be? And they laugh because they're like, well, I would never say that to you if I just met you. And I say, well, why are you saying this to me on LinkedIn? Like we're just meeting each other. I think your analogy is really great there.
right, it's just such a disconnect, but
Mhm.
it is. We go through different ways we communicate in the world based on technology these days,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so we're both on Facebook as well, and our companies are both on Facebook, and it's kind of I the analogy I use is, now when you read a paper book, you try and make it bigger by like pushing out on the page.
I know you're
I
squeezing it
can't
or
read
pinching
it.
it.
And little kids really do that. They just
Yeah.
don't understand it's not going to get bigger like it does on mom's phone. And
Mhm.
so, we're trying to make the world bigger, but we're trying to make it bigger and smaller at the same time,
Mhm.
right? The world is getting bigger but closer. And so we
Yeah.
never used to have these opportunities to meet these people around the world and your friend's friend, right?
Mhm.
Now you have this
Mhm.
opportunity. Why would you do anything that would blow that chance?
Right. Right. And
So,
a lot of these things are, we've probably just been doing patterns of behavior on social media and on LinkedIn for a while. And if you don't know why you shouldn't be doing it, or you're not given an alternative way of doing it, you just keep going with those patterns of behavior. So
right.
I'm hoping this podcast reaches people and they go, oh yeah, that I am doing that. And I realize like now that we're talking through it, they're like, maybe I should stop doing that. And by the way, I probably should check my photo and see if it's public. And you can easily just Google how to look up and see if my LinkedIn photo is public. You can easily look those things up. But I'm hoping this inspires your audience to take some
Well,
action.
not only I hope it inspires the audience, but know that Brenda has so many free tips and tricks on her YouTube channel and on her website. And so take advantage. Don't take advantage of her, but take advantage of her offering.
Of the free resources, take
Of the
advantage all
free
day long, right?
resources. I would never, I'm like nervous to, like, I know we're friends and I know you'll answer me, though I did send you a question
Yeah.
the other day and I didn't get an answer.
You
Uh,
know what? I posted my response and I kept meaning to go back to the post and send a direct message to you saying my response is here. And
ah,
I didn't. What was the question about? Do you remember what it was?
okay. That would be Pam taking a deep breath and going, I have
But
no
but
idea.
I don't remember either. I remember the note from you. I think I did a YouTube video
Oh,
about
I
it
know what
and
it was. I know what it
what?
was. And it's not even folks, it's not even 3 in the morning when I remembered this. It was, people are telling me that they can't comment on
Yes, I
my
did. Yeah.
post because they're not first or second degree. And how can I
Mhm.
universally change that? So
Yes.
we are going to put that in you can tell us, but we'll also add it into the backstory and the comments when this goes up on YouTube so people will know. So that's your
Okay.
hint to not only listen to the podcast, but go see the raw, uncut version of us recording this. So That's
Yeah.
really interesting. So tell me a little bit more. Well, you can answer that if it's a quick answer,
It is
or
a quick answer, and
okay,
probably what happened is in your settings when you publish a post, when you publish a new post, your name is at the top, and then there's a little button at the bottom where you can edit to see it's like a comment bubble button, and
right.
when you click on that, by default it should say who can comment, everyone, and it's possible you clicked into there and said connections only. And you
Okay.
can also limit that to no one can comment on your post. Now, the good thing is this is one of the fields that you can change even after you've published a post. So you can go back to that post
Oh.
and you can edit the comment settings to allow it to be public again.
Okay, but there isn't a universal way to say everyone and then change it.
Well, it does say everyone, but if you accidentally it will say everyone, and then for every post forward will go everyone.
I
You can
got it.
also go
Well,
into a specific post and make that setting change.
so look at that. I invited Brenda to talk about her company, but I also learned something, which I seem to always do when we're together. So
There you
tell
go.
us a little more about common mistakes in messaging.
So, have you heard of the pitch slap? Is that a familiar word for you, Pam? The pitch
The
slap?
what?
Pitch slap.
No.
So, pitch slap, when I describe it, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, that's happened to me. A pitch slap is what happens when you accept a connection and immediately afterwards, like within 30 seconds, a minute, they slap you with a sales pitch.
Ah,
So the invitation maybe didn't say anything at all, but you looked at their profile, you're like, yeah, this looks like a nice person, you accept it. Or maybe the invitation was more generic in nature. It seemed like they were on good behavior, weren't going to have any issues. And then you accept it, and immediately they hit you with a sales pitch. So, how about we sit down and I walk you through a web demo? I'll buy you a cup of coffee and I can show you how to train your enterprise team to generate more leads on LinkedIn. And I'm always like, I'm not in charge of an
enterprise team?
enterprise and I don't have a team. Pepper, where are you? Pepper's my dog, by the way. So it's always like irrelevant when we get those, but that's a big no-no. I always think about when you're creating a new connection with someone on LinkedIn, it's like dating. And the initial invitation is kind of like the get to know you first date. You don't go from first date to marrying someone. And I
Right.
think that's what a lot of people do when they are immediately pitching you in the DMs and the messages immediately after accepting. You want to go slow in on the process. You also want to have some back and forth, right? So if I were to connect with you, I would probably say something like, hi, Pam, we met today while you were hosting me on your podcast. Great interview. Let's connect on LinkedIn. You accept my invitation. Thanks again for hosting me. If I can ever be a resource for you, let me know. And also do keep me in mind if you ever have any LinkedIn questions. That's it. It's not a sales pitch. The door's open here. If you have any LinkedIn questions, if you want to walk through it, we can continue the conversation. If not, that's okay because we'll be connected. You'll see me in the homepage feed. You'll hopefully gain some value from me. Eventually, you'll either refer business to me or come back to me and say, hey, I need some LinkedIn coaching. I want some help with my profile. Right.
Right. So for me, you did the most important thing when you were giving those examples. And I say that there's not a whole lot of difference between selling a product and being involved in a nonprofit and asking for a donation. So what I think you did very successfully was you used the word you in your
Mhm.
response. I don't even know if you're conscious of it, but you use
Mhm.
the word you much more than you use the word me or I.
Yeah.
And for the recipient of that, it makes them feel kind of warm and fuzzy. The
Mhm.
other part of that is we know when we're looking to build a relationship, to make a sale. I've been through that sales world in my past as well.
Yeah.
I actually had coffee with my old boss yesterday that I worked in sales for, and it's 7 touches, right? And to make a
Mhm.
good sale, I'm not talking about something that's $5, but to make a good sale, it takes a minimum of 7 touches to create that relationship and create that sale or donation or whatever your end result is. And so by taking all that knowledge that you've been trained for in the sales world and throwing it in that garbage can when you get
Mhm.
on LinkedIn is not anything that makes sense.
But, there is a place for the sales information. Do you know where it is,
Yes.
Pam? I mean, you
Yeah,
probably know because 'cause you've sat through my presentations. It's in your LinkedIn profile. So
correct.
build your LinkedIn profile for your ideal target audience. Tell them that the problems that you solve, tell them how their solutions will help them to achieve your business goals, and give them a menu of the services that you offer and give them routes of doing business with you, whether it's a discovery call link or a link to book you for a coaching session or a link to book you as a presenter. So sprinkle all that information throughout your profile, because the key here is the invitation is really developing that relationship and making the connection. That's really important to
Right,
communication. But then your profile, what you're doing through your profile is you're communicating what it is that you do for your business, and you're telling this in a way that's how does it serve your ideal target audience. And I think this is a big mistake I see a lot of people making on their LinkedIn profile. They either copy and paste from their resume and they're not looking for a job, so that's not relevant, or they're writing their resume, their LinkedIn profile rather, about them. Your LinkedIn profile is not really about you. It's about you as it relates to your target audience. It's
right,
about the problems that you're solving, the solutions that you're offering. How does that help them? It's not that we don't all care about your career backstory and all the other things that you did leading up to today, but I want you to think about, the most important channel all of us listen to, the with them, what's in it for me,
right,
right?
right,
Like, how
right.
is this relevant for me? That's going to keep your ideal target audience reading longer.
So I normally review my about statement every 6 months.
Hmm.
At- Though I'm not sure when I last did it, but I think today is a day I'm going to do it.
Good answer.
Um, we'll mark today as day one of the next 6 months. How often do you recommend people review that, update it,
Mhm.
connect it, connect it through?
So at least once a year, you should be reviewing your profile from top to bottom, not just your about statement, but from top to bottom, doing that review. And that can feel a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of information. And then once you start going through it, you realize things are out of date.
Right.
So if we say just the about statement, once a year, do a thorough review of it. I would love for you to look at it at least quarterly, because
Okay.
depending on where you are in your career, in your business, in your life, things may change. You may have new offerings, you may have things you're no longer doing, you may have a different area of focus for your business, for your profile as well. So giving it a once over, once per quarter is a good thing. Nowadays, Pam, this is easier than ever because there's so many of these AI, Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini. I mean, there's so many tools out there. And actually, there's a service I use. It's called Shield Analytics, which allows me to look at all of my LinkedIn activity, and it's a great dashboard view. They've
Mhm.
recently launched a headline generator. The headline generator is brilliant because they know LinkedIn because they're looking at user data all the time. While I was poking around on their website yesterday, I realized they also have an about generator, which
Oh,
that's new, and I haven't plugged everything to give it a try yet. When I work with my clients, I always write the about statements. You and I are like old school, like, crack the knuckles, roll up the sleeves, and I write it. Like it's me, it's a human being. But I know that some people prefer to use the tools that are out there through ChatGPT and etc. And I think there's some great usefulness, but it all goes into a melting pot and it doesn't exactly know the LinkedIn algorithm rules and whatnot. So I haven't tried the Shield about generator, but I'm leaning towards recommending it because they're so knowledgeable about LinkedIn, and their headline generator is such a good tool as well.
oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
So one of the things you taught me, and I will say I'm an affiliate, so no, I don't want to not to keep anything secret.
Full
I'm an
disclosure,
full
right?
disclosure. I should have used their mug today. I am an affiliate marketer with Text Expander that you
Mhm.
introduced me to, and it
Mhm.
is for LinkedIn. It is my key for those
Mhm.
invitations
Yeah.
because I have, I think, 5 different responses
Mhm.
based on what I get, based on what we were talking before. Is it a salesy one? Is
Mhm.
it no information? And it leads to, this is one of the things you taught me, Brenda. It leads to conversations based on how you respond. And
Yep.
that's the goal of it, is getting the conversation in.
Mhm.
And I do find that the thumbs up is today's mark of this is the end of the dialogue.
I like that. I hadn't thought about that. So, it depends on which emoji I use last is what's showing up on LinkedIn, but sometimes it's the smiley face or the clapping thing. But yeah, it is kind of like you're just patting them on the head. We're done here, so don't message me again.
Right, right. Great conversation. Time to move. Time to go back to real work. So,
Right.
all
Yeah.
right. So
Definitely.
tell me again. Tell me more. I know you get LinkedIn. I know there are, so many people who have moved toward this as their pivot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What sets you apart? Why do people, besides the fact that you published a book that
Wait
you
that way.
that you dropped off on my doorstep during COVID, the first
Yeah.
time we
Mhm.
actually met in person behind masks.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so tell me a little bit about how you can actually enjoy that slice, that bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. Tell me what possible outcomes there can be that can really change your direction and your motivation.
So I think the biggest thing is starting from what are your goals with regards to using LinkedIn. For some people, they are working and thinking about looking for a new job. So how do we do that strategically so that our boss and coworkers don't know, but that we make ourselves more appealing to hiring managers, recruiters, things like that, but kind of remain under the radar. So if there's a way you can do it, then you can enjoy LinkedIn. You can lean into it and doing little things like having a header that matches your company branding and
Mm.
talking about your company in posts, engaging with your coworkers, and then occasionally bringing in posts that are speaking about your areas of expertise, then you're not worrying about whether the boss or coworkers see you. You look like you're a great employee. And by the way, you look really appealing to a hiring manager as well.
Right.
Right. And if you're self employed, I think actually for everyone, make this a community thing. This isn't just about you and what you're selling and you trying to find your ideal target audience, but it should also be about lifting other people up. And the first thing I do, the first thing every day on LinkedIn that I do, Pam, when I open up my LinkedIn app or go into the desktop, is I scroll through the homepage and I look for people that I am connected with and I look and see what they're posting.
Right.
I give likes, reactions liberally. There's no penalty for giving out too many likes and reactions. And I try to add thoughtful comments to maybe 3 to 5 different posts. And I don't use AI and chat GPT to come up with my responses. It's me. It's like me, authentically me. And a lot of times it's me doing voice to text on my phone and I have typos and I have to correct them afterwards. But by doing so, you're building engagement, you're creating that social media karma, and then what will happen is often those people will return the favor. And when you're posting, they're going to comment back on your post as well. So when you can make LinkedIn not just about you, but more about your community, you'll actually find that you get more of what LinkedIn has to offer back to you.
Well, I think that that is a perfect way to wrap up our conversation. Getting more, building that community. We talked today mostly about um, LinkedIn, the IN part, the individual part. I would
Mhm.
love to have you back at a later time to really talk more toward the business side of things and how you touch on it a little bit, but how companies can engage their employees to
Mhm.
build that community as well. So, do you have any final words for us this morning, Brenda?
Well, going back to your topic here, communication is an art, right? Communicating on LinkedIn is a little bit of an art and a little bit of a science as well. My advice is, look up my YouTube channel. You can learn more about those LinkedIn tips. If you're a reader, pick up the book. Lots of really great gems inside there. But above all of that, get active on LinkedIn. Participate in those conversations, post regularly at least once a week, and make sure that you're connected with both Pam and myself as well.
That's terrific. Well, this was great. We didn't get to sit across from each other having coffee this morning, but we will do that next week. So, when we see each other in person, because not only Brenda is one of the I'm gonna just don't listen. Brenda's one of the kindest people I know. And next week, I'm actually speaking at an event, and Brenda asked me who's doing the recording and taking pictures. I said, I don't know, I haven't thought of it. And her immediate response was, well, you haven't asked me yet.
Aw.
And that made my heart grow, like,
Aw.
and a connection on LinkedIn, following someone to that comment is really what makes our world, and especially for solo entrepreneurs, it's what makes our world a community. So with that, Brenda, I thank you for joining me today. I hope everyone had a wonderful time and took away some great nuggets. And that's it for today's podcast. Communication is an art, and we will be out there joining you shortly with another interview. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Pam.